Okay, so this is part 2 or day 2 of 10-2, which is operations with matrices. Yesterday we discussed what a matrix was, how to figure out the order of the matrix, which is the number of rows by the number of columns, rows going left and right, columns going top to bottom, just like columns on a building. In order to add and subtract, the order had to be exactly the same, and then you literally just add or subtract the numbers. We talked about the scalar multiple, which can be done to anything by distributing that number into each entry inside your matrix. Multiplication is a little different, and it's weird. It's one of those things that once you practice it, once you go through the motions, you should get the hang of it, but initially it is not like an innate thing. Like, you don't just multiply the two numbers. So this is where you really want to give your focus today. Again, I'll teach it to you. It's something that is a step-by-step process. You can practice it. You can definitely learn it, but it's weird, okay? So the first thing is you can't multiply any kind of matrix, and it's not the same dimensions like it was for addition and subtraction. The rule on multiplying is that the inner two numbers, so when I write out the order of each matrix, the inner two numbers have to match. So if it's a 3 by 2 and a 3 by 2, we cannot multiply. If it's a 3 by 2 and a 2 by 3, now we can multiply. The inner two numbers have to match. If those two numbers match, then the outer two are the dimensions of it. So if I had a 1 by 3 and a 3 by 2, I'm going to check the inner two. If they match, in this case they do, I can multiply. The outer two is what my answer is going to look like, a 1 by 2. If I had a 1 by 3 and a 1 by 3, the inner two do not match, and I cannot multiply these. Obviously, a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2 can. Middle two match, outer two would be your result, okay? So you want to check for that first. That's the first thing you're going to do. Check to see, can I even multiply these two out? And then what does my solution look like? So if I go back to the one that we can do, if it's a 1 by 3 and a 3 by 2, I would then draw out what my solution is going to look like. A 1 by 2, and a 1 by 2 means 1 row and 2 columns. So it would have 2 spaces. And then the name of each cell tells you what you're going to multiply together. So this first spot would be row 1, column 1, which means I'm going to take the matrix from the one on the left, and I'm going to multiply row 1 of that by column 1 of the one on the right. So we go left and down. And then row 1, column 2 would mean I'm going to multiply the row 1 of the first one times column 2 of the next one. So again, we go left and down. Obviously, we're going to do this a few times, but you need to understand that concept before you even start. So look at 7. First of all, the order of the letters is important. A times B is different than B times A because we have to go left to right. So A times B, looking at A, what are the dimensions of A? 2, it's 3 by 2, good. And then the dimensions of B? 2 by 2. So looking at your middle two numbers, do they match? Yeah. Yes, which means I can do it. And the outer two numbers tell me what's the order of the matrix going to be. That's the product. A 3 by 2. So I need 3 rows and 2 columns. Then I would name the cell. So the very first one would be row 1, column 1. And that tells you what you're multiplying. So that means I'm multiplying row 1 of my first matrix times column 1 of my second matrix. And I do them in pairs. I do the first in each, so -1 times -3 plus, which would be 3 times -4. So again, we go across on the first one and down on the second one, row and then column. And then I'd add them together. So I'd get +3, -12, and this one's going to be -9. I'm just going to keep repeating that process. So I'm going to erase this. And then I go to the next cell, and the next cell would be row 1, column 2. So I go to my first matrix, and I would look at row 1, and on the second one, I'm going to go to column 2. And again, we'd go first with first, so -1 times 2, plus second with second, and it'd be 3 times 1. And then I get -2 plus 3, which is 1. Then I keep repeating that process. So the next cell would be called what? Good. Row 2, column 1. So from my first matrix, I highlight row 2. From the second matrix, I highlight column 1. And then I do first with first. So 4 with -3 plus second with second, -2 times -4. And I get -12 plus 8, which is -4. Then I go to the next one, and that cell would be called? Row 2, column 2. So row 2 in the first one, column 2 in the second one, and I do 4 times 2 plus -2 times 1. And I get 8 minus 2, which is 6. And then I go to the last row, and that first cell would be row 3, column 1. I highlight row 3, column 1. And I do first times first, so 5 times -3, plus second times second, 0 times -4. And I get -15 plus 0, which is -15. And then I go to B, at the last cell, which would be row 3, column 2, and I highlight row 3, and I highlight column 2. And I do 5 times 2 plus 0 times 1. And I get 10 plus 0, or 10. Yep.
So if we do like each one, but like for example, you put like row 1, column 1, where row 2, column 2
It's wrong.
It's wrong.
Mm-hmm. So then I just rewrite it. So it'd be -9, 1, -4, 6, -15, 10. This is one of those skills that is a lot easier to do on Notability because you can highlight and erase than it is to do on like a physical piece of paper. So before the test next week, I would strongly encourage you to practice it on a physical piece of paper. Okay? You're going to be doing a lot of circling and erasing. So just keep that in mind. Yeah.
Do you need to circle? Or is it like
No, you can try to do it in your head, but it's usually when mistakes get made. Is it physically possible? Absolutely. But it's usually when silly mistakes get made. Okay, so now we go to 8. Again, the order is still A then B, which is important. What are the dimensions of A?
1/3?
Nope.
2/3.
2 by 3, good. What are the dimensions of B? 3 by 2. So is it possible? Yes, the middle two match. What's the outcome going to be? A 2 by 2. So it seems like it's, smaller because it's a 2 by 2, but in row 1, column 1, there's 3 products to do. It doesn't mean that it's much smaller. It just means you're doing it in a different way. So I would do 1 times -2 plus 0 times 1 plus 3 times -1. So we did first times first. We did second times second. We did third times third. And I'd get -2 plus 0 minus 3, which is -5.
Are you gonna give us one like on the test that's like 5 by 5?
No. I don't want to grade that. Yeah. All right, then I go row 1, column 2. And first times first is 1 times 4 plus second times second, 0 times 0 plus third times third, third times third, 1 times 3. And I get 4 plus 0 plus 3, which is 7. And I go to the next cell, which is row 2, column 1. Row 2, column 1. And you get 2 times negative 2 plus negative 1 times 1 plus negative 2 times negative 1. This is negative 4 minus 1 plus 2, negative 5 plus 2, which is negative 3. And then row 2, column 2, 2 times 4 plus negative 1 times 0 plus negative 2 times 1. And you get 8 plus 0 minus 2, which is 6. So where you didn't have to really show a lot of work for the adding and subtracting on your homework, you need to write out that work.
But do we also need to write out the part under?
No, on the test, you're going to rewrite it for me so that it's nice and neat and it's easy to grade. But on the homework, you don't have to rewrite this box. That's what you mean?
No, like when you put the things to add it.
So you need to write out this row, what you're multiplying together. Yep. The reason, so, and you'll see this in a lot of different ways. Like sometimes they just teach you go across and down and across and down and across and down, which is a pattern, which is great. And they don't teach you to number the cells. But if you ever make a mistake and you have to go to like this cell and you have to try to figure out what order that was and all the work you do, it's hard. But if you know the name of it, I know I can literally just jump to that spot and say that that's row 2, column 2, and that's what I'm multiplying by. So the extra second it takes you to name the cell is going to help you in any kind of situation like that. Questions? Next to each other like that. When they are next to each other like that, it means multiply. What are the dimensions of 9? 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2, right? Can be done. The middle 2 match. The outer 2 is the result, which is a 2 by 2. So row 1, column 1 would be 3 times 1 plus 4 times 0, or 3 plus 0. Then you go to the next one. Row 1, column 2. Row 1, column 2 would be 3 times 0 plus 4 times 1, 0 plus 4, which is 4. Then you go to the next one. Row 2, column 1. And you get negative 2 times 1 plus 5 times 0. Negative 2 plus 0, which is negative 2. And the last one, row 2, column 2, negative 2 times 0 plus 5 times 1. 0 plus 5. And you get 3, 4, negative 2, 5. Good on that one. Yes? Okay. What is 10? What are the dimensions of 10? A 3 by 3 and a 3 by 1. Middle 2 match. Outer 2, it's a 3 by 1. So it's 3 rows. 3 rows and 1 column. So in the first one, we're going to multiply all 3 of these numbers by the same 3 every time. So I'm going to do 6 times 1 plus 2 times 2 plus 0 times negative 3. And I get 6 plus 4 plus 0, or 10. And then I go next row. Row 2, same column. 3 times 1 plus negative 1 times 2 plus 2 times negative 3. 3 minus 2 minus 6. 1 minus 6, or negative 5. And then I go last row, same column. 1 times 1 plus 4 times 2 plus 6 times negative 3. And you get 1 plus 8 minus 18, 9 minus 18, or negative 9. All right, so what are the dimensions of 11? Oh, sorry. All right. What's 11? What's 11? A 1 by 3 and 3 by 1. Can we do it? Yes, it's only one cell, so I just multiply them out. So 1 times 2 plus negative 2 times negative 1 plus negative 3 times 1. 2 plus 2 minus 3, or 1. And 12 is a 3 by 1 and a 1 by 3. So again, like let's just say it had 4, 5, 6 here, and that would be a 3 by 1 and a 2 by 3. You can't do it. You would put impossible as that answer, and remember, shrink it down so it makes it easier. So this time I've got a 3 by 3. So it looks like it's a lot of work, but it's one multiplication problem in each spot. It's just sometimes so deceiving. So it's literally the 1 and the 1, which would be 2 times 1. And then the 1, row 1, column 2, 2 times negative 2, negative 4. And then row 1, column 3. And then you'd go row 2, same process. Row 2, column 1. Row 2, column 2. Good. Row 2, column 3. And then we go row 3. Row 3, column 1. Row 3, column 2. And row 3, column 3. Good. Let me finish this one first. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to do the calculator on the multiplication, and then actually you can do this with addition, you can do it with the scalar multiple, you can do anything you want with matrices, okay? So let me get my video going. All right, so on the TI-84, the TI-84CE, all the things that are TI related, they have a matrix button. So if you look, it's above the X negative 1. I have to go second and that button. And you get this menu. So this menu, once you insert matrices, this is how you'll access them. So if I wanted to do 3 times A, I would hit 3, and then I would come in here and I'd grab A under the name, and I'd hit enter, and that would be multiplication, okay, of a scalar. To edit it, I have to go over edit first. So I go over to edit. You can pick whichever one you want. If we want to use, the first one is A, we can click enter. And the first thing it's going to ask you is for its dimension, so it knows how many cells to give you. So let's do 11. 11 was a 1 by 3. So I'm going to do 1 by 3 and hit enter, and it's going to give you 3 cells. And I'm going to type in what's there for 11. So 1, enter, negative 2, make sure you hit the negative button and not the subtraction button, negative 3, enter. And that's what I have for 11 for the first one. And I go back to the same menu. So second, quit, second, X to the negative 1 gets me back to the matrix menu. Now notice next to A, there's a 1 by 3 there because we just stored it. I go over to edit. I'm going to go down to B now. B was a 3 by 1, so 3 by 1, and it gives you the 3 cells. And I type in what's there for 11, which was 2, negative 1, 1. And I get out of that menu. If I go back, which you don't need to do this, but if you go back, you see now you've got 2 matrices. So you can enter as many as you want. B was a 3 by 1, and it's 2, negative 1, 1. Yep.
What do you click to get to that menu?
Second, X to the negative 1. So underneath your math menu, that guy. Yep. So if I want to multiply them out, I go second, X to the negative 1, and get back to the names menu, and I hit A. Has to come first because that's the order. I don't even have to hit times because when you put something flush against something else, it means times, but you can hit that multiplication button.
Wait, how do you do that?
Which one?
Get the A there?
Second, X to the negative 1, and under names, hit enter on A. Now I want to multiply it times B, so I'm going to go down to B, and I'm going to hit enter, and then literally hit enter, and it's going to give you
1.
which was what we got as the solution. I'm gonna.
Is this for checking work?
Sorry.
Do we need this like the test or is it just to check?
It's just to check your work. So let's say you're doing like WebAssign and it's a 3x3 and it keeps saying that it's wrong and you're super frustrated and you can't figure out why. Type it in and see which one's wrong.
Will you go to names?
I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again, but with 12. Okay, so I'm gonna go second, matrix. The first thing I have to go over is edit. I'm gonna hit enter next to A. So I'm doing 12 now, and that's a 3x1. So I do 3x1. I hit enter, and it's gonna give me the cells that match what it looks like. And I'm gonna type it in. 2, enter. -1, enter. 1, enter. And I hit second matrix. I'm gonna go back to the same menu. I wanna go over to edit, go to B, and I want B to be a 1x3. And on 12, it's 1, -2, -3. And I hit second quit, and I wanna multiply them together. So I go second matrix. This time I'm gonna go to names. Huh? Above mode. It's there. 1, -2, -3. I'm doing 12. Yeah. And I'm going to hit enter on A. And then I'm going to go back second, matrix, and I'm going to go to B. And I'm going to hit enter on B. And then I'm going to hit enter. And this time it gives me the 3x3. Let's say there's weird fractions in there. Like if you're doing fractions, you can use the math fraction button on a matrix. So like if I went to math and I went to arrow to fraction, let's say that those were like decimals originally, it will convert them all to fractions. So this is obviously if you had a question on a standardized test in which it involved matrices, if you want to check your homework answers that involve matrices, you could literally do this with addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the scalar multiple. You just have to enter in your matrices. I would not use it instead of doing the work. It probably takes longer. I would do it to check should you have an issue. And then obviously if you don't remember how to do like multiplication matrices when ACT or SAT roll around next year, you've got something in your hand that will do it for you. Yeah.
Is there a division of matrices?
No. Yeah. There's something there's something called an inverse. There's something called a determinant. There's lots of stuff. You'll get to all that stuff next year in pre-calc. Questions? That's it, folks. You've completed Algebra 2 honors. That's the last lesson. Yeah. 1, 5 minutes later. What happened? Yeah. True to form. All the way to the end. All right. You can work on your assignment. I actually have a lot of stuff to get back to, so listen for your name. I have like 4 things to get back to you. Would that include your quizzes and your tests? Yeah, there's a lot of them. Esteban, you're first. You're welcome. Stand. The only thing you're not getting back yet is your chapter 7 makeup because someone still has
Numbers that you.
I forgot to.
1. I know.
I think you're gonna win.
I have stuff to give back to you. 1. Come get it from me.
Oh, Jess.
Louis.
No, but
You're welcome.
I don't know.
Summer.
Gonna win twice. Who's running in your game? Huh? Who's running in your game? I don't even know.
You waited for what?
Oh, my age.
You're welcome. Maddie.
I'm looking for my unit.
That's a tactical move.
What did you do like this?
You're welcome. Jason.
I wouldn't know. No.
I'm voting.
Ernesto and Velasco.
I'm voting for Ernesto and Ernesto.
Valerie.
No, Ernesto and Velasco.
Vice president? Who else is running?
I think I'm more
And Lara.
I've read the book yet. I've been listening to it. I haven't read it.
That's what I do when I like maybe I go all over the papers.
I think I go too, but you know.
But I'm trying to read it. I'm an A.
Oh, I know. Let's see.
I don't remember how to do this one. I did a lot
Eat that. You're welcome. Three.
Well, I was able to do one thing. I messed up on the unit. I messed up on the unit survey. The easiest part. I messed up on. The rest was like simple. First thing you do like
It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's just fun. It's a test.
You're good.
What is the
The other one on the test that I can't get back in. What?
What is the second period?
I'm not. I'm not.
This is
Almost there.
Review for
Oh, yeah, I enjoy
and Monday. Change that.
I can do more posts.
Today.
That's so funny.
Oh, we're gonna post you, Valerie.
Oh, I and J is the same. It's the same. I, J,
What happened?
I've never posted.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I
I
thought
mean, you just posted her in the group chat. Yeah, I just posted you in the group chat.
Oh, no, now I remember. No, Abby, you may not have a photo of me.
I'll get the photo.
Kelly, I know things. And you know, I know. Yeah, watch yourself.
She knows things.
I know things. Incredible.
It's like hard though.
Incredible.
It's like scary.
Incredible. Incredible. Not incredible.
No.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Oh.
I do not know how to do this, guys. So if you know how to do
Post
this,
army, she had one too.
you get it. You have the same one.
No, but the last one.
Ready?
Not there anymore.
You got the easier one.
No, you got the same one.
Yeah, it's probably about
Yeah.
you.
Did you do that?
And
You didn't
grades on campus, like all was there. We're good for review. Make sure.
See, I got everything before.
You got your training was
Yeah, look. All the four.
But it's not living.
Where are you from?
Alright, so obviously the content I'm giving you back, the good is, you're welcome. It's not on next week's test, because the last quiz is separate, that was the last time quiz. But everything you were just handing back would be on a final.
I got that.
And everything you were handing back, you'll get again next year for pre-calc.
Just go back to grade 7.
No, I was really trying.
Yeah, you know what
Need this back. What did you do?
I didn't get that back. Oh my god, I
If you didn't get the chapter 7 back, it's because you had the makeup and I'm still waiting on a makeup.
Who needs to take this?
Leave the portal. Normally I'd let you give him a hard time, but he has a really valid excuse this
I
time.
didn't know it's gone for like 8 days.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is in this school? That's a lot to come back from. Don't pull it there.